Story time. Back when I was a little feller, I guess I was about 8 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, somewhere in there. Dad had me help him mow his yard at 7. Made him take turns. I spoke about this before. Well, by the time I was 9, I was mowing the whole yard. And I was mowing a few yards in the neighborhood. I had to use Dad's lawnmower. I had to pay him to use his lawnmower, wear and tear and all that, and good lesson there. Bought my own gas, another good lesson. They's old timer. Dad called him old timer, I called him sir. And to be honest, I can't remember his name. I'm not really sure I ever knew his name. But he's a real good old man. He's dirt poor. Barely make it through a month on his little piddly government check. I remember Dad taking him food and stuff, and people in the community made sure he had firewood. They cut it and split it and everything, but they'd pile it up. Well, when I started mowing these yards, his yard was never mowed because he just wasn't able to do it. Couldn't pay nobody to do it. And I went to Dad and I said, I'm going to mow his yard and I'll pay you to use the lawnmower out of my own money. He said, what do you mean your own money? Why do you mean you're going to mow his yard? He can't pay you to mow the yard. And I said, I know, Daddy. But his yard needs to be mowed and I'm going to mow it for him. I ain't going to charge him nothing. Dad looked at me and said, you ain't got to pay me for the lawnmower. I went over there and I started mowing his yard. He come out hollering and stuff. I turned off the lawnmower. He said, I can't pay you to mow my yard. And I said, well, I don't remember you asking, sir. But I'm going to mow your yard. Your yard needs to be mowed. And you might ask, why would you do that, even as a kid? What did you get out of it? Well, I got more than money could ever mean. Because I talked to him. I heard his stories. I always enjoyed talking to him and listening to his stories. He had such great stories and such great truths. He talked about, growing up in the Depression and going out and hunting and everything and for their food and growing their food and walking the railroad tracks trying to find coal that fell off the railroad cars and just what it was to survive back then. And it blew my mind that life was so fucking hard. And I had great admiration and awe of this man. My dad too. I mean, Dad grew up dirt poor. Everybody did around here, except for very, very few. And such wonderful, wonderful stories. And him signing up to go to World War II when he was 16 years old, and lying. And 3 years he was in there and he got shot up pretty bad. And he spent quite a bit of time in hospitals and stuff. His wife died and his sons abandoned him. I can't imagine, a son abandoning their father like that at the time. Now, it's quite common. His daughter would come up, or come down, I should say, once a month. She lived up there and up north. and make sure that he was all right, and you know, do things for him, get what he needed, or made sure he had what he needed, which was good of her. That's pretty sad that, a daughter would do that, not the sons that, lived within an hour of him. Uh, Sometimes people split the wood. They'd have big old chunks of wood, and he couldn't lift it. And I'd split them down for him, and I'd make sure I'd stack them on his porch, having a good stack of wood and everything. But just the wisdom and knowledge of this man, and just he, even though he had nothing pretty much and couldn't do much of anything, the man was always happy, and he was always content. And I just enjoyed talking to him. It was just, this big man. He's probably 6'6" or so, but he was kind of frail and skinny. I can imagine what he was at his height, when he was a young, vibrant man. He was so kind, and we talk about everything. I'd ask him a blue million questions. I know it bound to got on his nerves. It bound to it, but he was always so patient, and he'd explain things and everything, and that's just about gone in the world. Not that the old men aren't willing to do it, which most, nowadays probably aren't, but the young men just don't seem to care, and that's very sad, because you can learn so much from those that come before you and been around longer than you. I was just sitting here thinking and everything, and I remember when he died, the house just empty, and then a for sale sign, and then some, young couple moved in, and I missed him and I grieved him, even though I didn't know I was grieving at the time. But he was my friend, and when I was that age, I had many old timers that was my friend. I used to walk a couple miles to the store, and I'd sit out there and I'd listen to the old timers and everything with their stories. And it was just so fascinating to me. I was talking about back in the day, running horses to their death with mountain lions, and making homemade firecrackers and bootlegging them. And now I know they was talking about making moonshine, but they said, yeah, we used to go out and we'd make our drink and everything in the woods, and it was just so fascinating to me and so wonderful. And I just, my imagination and everything, especially with the drink, I was like, they're making soda, why would you go out in the woods and make soda? But no, they's making moonshine. It's just a wonderful time. Of course, we moved and all that, disappeared. And I very rarely got to be that way since. That's why I'm so grateful for our great philosophy. I talked to so many good men elsewhere, and I talked to many good men on this publisher, and I learned so much. And I'm just a simple old mountain man, nothing fancy. And these men take their time and talk to me and educate me in things that I get a concept of or a grasp of. They put it in layman's terms so I can actually understand it. And they take time out of their lives to do that for me. I have lacked that for so many years. It is unreal. Now, before I found this philosophy, I was that guy. Well, I still am in real life. Young men flocked to me, and I never understood why until I found this philosophy. And it's because I don't lie to them. I tell them the truth. Just as the great men of this philosophy tell me the truth. I have so much respect for these men, all you good men, that take the time to talk to me. And now I understand why all these young men through the years has flocked to me, and it's because honesty. The one thing in life I can promise you will bring you great reward and satisfaction is being honest with yourself. First of all, if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with other people. But be honest with other people. Sure, there's people out there that will get bitter and angry and everything and resent you for being honest. But most won't. They might get pissed and everything. But when they think about it, they'll say, wait a minute, he's just telling the truth. And he's not lying to me. Good men and brothers, stay safe, be well. Get what you can every time you can, anytime you can.